everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking all about what movies we recommend to you to watch over the Thanksgiving period and also kind of in the run-up to Christmas, but we'll be doing a special Christmas episode next week. So let's start off with Thanksgiving. But before we do that, make sure you do go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe on all the different platforms. And as well, you can support us over at patreon.com/what's on Disney Plus. So, James, let's kick off first off with what's your first pick for what you would recommend to people watch over the Thanksgiving period?
So the first one that I picked is the fun family-themed movie of Lilo and Stitch.
All right. Oh, yeah, cool.
So obviously it is a major theme of the movie. It's all about the two girls kind of trying to be a family unit, trying to not get separated by Agent Bubbles and the U.S. government, basically. And then aliens pop in and hijinks ensued. It's already a pretty popular movie, so I don't have to say too much about it. But I think it works really well. There's humor for older people, especially around Agent Bubbles and all of his stuff. The aliens are entertaining. And then I think most people can relate to wanting to have some weird dog, although they can't necessarily relate to it being an alien that wants to blast everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I must admit, I love Stitch. She's been one of like the great Disney characters that, especially kind of that era. You know, there's a lot of like the Princess one, but that one was just right after all of that, wasn't it? It was because it was just like 9/11 was just because they had to change it, didn't they, originally?
Right.
It was after like the Renaissance, but it was kind of like that last one of those few decent like drawn animations.
It was right around that period when they were trying to do different things. They were trying to prove that we don't just make princess movies. You know, Atlantis came out around this time. I think Tarzan was a couple of years before. But yeah, it was right after 9/11 because they had to change the whole plane sequence. Yeah. It was originally they were flying around in like a 747, and then they changed it to an alien spaceship.
Yeah, no, it was good that I think that, you know, that it was definitely one of those movies. I should really watch it again. I think I've only watched it once or twice. I've never watched any of the sequels or any other TV series that are also available on Disney Plus. So maybe I should kind of check them out. But yeah, that one's probably a good one because that was maybe one that I probably wouldn't necessarily automatically go to. But it's a good, like you say, a good Ohana movie for Thanksgiving. Yeah, like I said, so obviously, like from Thanksgiving, from my point of view, it's something that we don't celebrate in the UK. So we don't have this whole, obviously, Thanksgiving because we're not giving thanks for being in America. But the thing is, it's like for me, like this is why I like watching Pocahontas around this time of the year, because for me, it's the only kind of Disney movie like with sort of Native American sort of a thing of really kind of having that whole storyline and kind of being able to tell it from, obviously, from that point, it's the British coming over and invading. So it's definitely an interesting story. Telling it from that point, it's got some amazing music. And not because I'm not really, you know, huge on the Renaissance, like princess movies. It's not like my go-to. But Pocahontas is that kind of movie of like, yeah, I kind of like that. It's a little bit more different for me, a different kind of storyline than what we normally see from Disney.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It came right after The Lion King, I think was the previous movie. And it was the beginning of Disney kind of trying something a little bit new. Obviously, Mulan popped up right after that, so we were still in the princess era. But yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I remember not being too thrilled with it, but some of the music is good. The acting is fine. The story takes major liberties with the actual historical events, but I mean, that's par for the course for Disney. So, you know, I mean, the only one quibble, of course, is that although it is Native American and Thanksgiving has Native American roots, that's from the Massachusetts colony rather than the Virginia colony. But you are right. It is about the only Disney movie that has any connection to Thanksgiving, at least in terms of the proper ones. I mean, I think there's been a Disney Channel movie here and there, but those are a little harder to recommend most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, most like the holiday ones and like the Christmassy ones sometimes cross over. Things like Miracle on 34th Street kind of has that crossover a little bit with them. But yeah, generally, you know, we don't hear too much about it. And generally just that kind of whole storyline is definitely an interesting way that I think of kind of taking it in and just kind of reminding yourself about like actually what really happened during that time. So what was on your other list of movies that you recommend?
So second one on the list for me, I'm going to go back to a classic. I'm going to pick the original Mary Poppins, Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke. I just have very fond memories of watching this with my family, both my parents and my sisters, as well as extended family. It was fun to watch with the grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody. It's just a wholesome movie with some good music. Parts of it are maybe not aging as well as other parts, but still, I think most people at least have fairly fond memories of this movie, and it's just good family fun.
Yeah,
Also,
it's funny. Yeah,
sorry,
I was
go
going
ahead.
to say because that was on because when we were like when we sort of said about picking 5 movies, this is the only I think this is our one that definitely I jumped at. It's like this is normally something I would watch around Christmas time, but it's that kind of thing of it's always on like the BBC, it's always running at Christmas. It is that like family wholesome movie that you put on and you can kind of just enjoy it. And it is, yeah, I think it's just a classic movie. The music is great. Now, obviously, we've got Mary Poppins Returns. Won't be on Disney Plus in the US for probably nearly a year, but it is over in some parts in Europe. So you might want to check that one out if you haven't seen that one already. Kind of might be a good way of going forward. But yeah, Mary Poppins, you can't go wrong with that. It's such a great
No,
movie.
it's just so happy movie. Even when it's like the bad parts where he gets yelled at the bank, and then he's angry at the kids because they want to feed the birds instead of putting money in the bank and all that stuff. Even those parts, they've got like some decent songs. And then they immediately turn around and you've got, Let's Go Fly a Kite and whatnot. So it's just a fun movie I think most people can enjoy.
Yeah. And also, you can also sort of slide in there Saving Mr. Banks if you fancy something a little bit different and a bit more of not only say an adult movie, but less of a more of one if you don't want sort of the kids to watch and stuff. I think Saving Mr. Banks is kind of a nice movie as well to kind of go along with that if you're going to watch Mary Poppins.
Yeah, and it's a decent movie in its own right. Obviously, again, like I was saying for Pocahontas, don't take it as like literal history. They took a lot of liberties with the history with how that got made. But I think it is a good movie for reinforcing what Mary Poppins is about. Because I think that, based on Saving Mr. Banks, it wasn't just Walt Disney who didn't get that Mary Poppins was not about saving the kids. It's about saving the family. And so that kind of ties it nicely together. Plus Thanksgiving, family, big theme.
So I can't go on with my next choice without basically the big blockbuster of Thanksgiving. Obviously this month we've got Frozen 2 hitting cinemas on Thanksgiving, so it's going to be a big Frozen weekend. So it's only right that you go back to the original one and watch the first one. First off, for most of us, it's cold outside. It's going to bother us, and we want to kind of just snug in, and the music's great. You want to maybe, if you haven't seen it at the cinema or you want to remind yourself afterwards, Frozen is now kind of one of those kind of, for me, it's like that kind of wintry movie that I wouldn't necessarily watch in August, but it is that kind of sliding into that, oh, I'd like to watch it at this time of the year. That's definitely kind of one of mine. And also you've got the other characters and stuff. Olaf, you can't go too wrong with them being a snowman. But I know it's like it's not really Christmas, but it's cold and it's this time of year for me.
And it's kind of funny because Frozen doesn't take place in the winter. It actually takes place in the summer, which is part of the plot. But still,
yeah.
But yeah, I think the fact that Frozen 2 is coming out here at the same time means it's a good time to watch it. Obviously, I don't think that people who have already seen it a million times because their daughters were watching it on repeat for a couple of years there. Maybe not or if it has been a couple of years since your daughter or your son watched it on repeat, now's a good time to refresh your memory before going to Frozen 2 and having new songs that you will love to eventually hate. Yeah, let it go.
So what's your next choice for what do you recommend for people?
So I'm going to preface this with a little bit of an asterisk because we're recording this before Disney Plus is actually released. So we haven't had a chance to see the Disney Plus originals yet.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Lady and the Tramp. And I'm going to say either the animated original or assuming that it's actually a solid remake, go ahead with the live action one. Now would be a decent time to watch that as well. It's a good classic movie. Broad themes, works on many levels. I think a lot of people can relate to, say, the two dogs, Trusty and I can't remember the Scotty's name. I think it might have just
Jock.
Jock, that's right. You can relate to those.
Yeah, a bit Scottish,
whatever.
So.
And then of course just the story of Lady and the Tramp. Really good. Just a solid classic movie from that time frame.
Also, if you saw that when it came out, when Disney Plus launched as one of like the originals, that maybe like Thanksgiving time, maybe go back and watch the original, and then you can kind of compare and stuff and do it that way. Because I don't, that's just an alternative with Lady and the Tramp.
Mm-hmm. Either way, assuming the live action is good, go with that. But the animated one is always worth putting in.
Yeah, so I'm going to mix things up again with one of probably the newest movies on Disney Plus, and that is Dumbo, the live-action remake, which I don't think got a fair stick when it came out, because it's actually quite fun. It's an enjoyable movie. Both me and my wife enjoyed it when we watched it, when we rented it, and I have a feeling that it's going to be overlooked in the launch window, and I definitely would recommend that if you haven't seen it, this is a good time. It's family, it's all about the family that we've done. It's not a scene for scene remake. It's not like The Lion King or anything, or Aladdin, where it's the same movie. Dumbo is really kind of quite different. They took the story and the theme and really expanded it and changed it. And yeah, I think that one's probably a little bit of a sleeper that people maybe aren't. I mean, it would have been a perfect Disney Plus movie, but I think it's one of those things. If you got your subscription, you got nothing else, watch it. If you haven't seen it, I just think it was a really charming movie, and it's a nice family movie, and there's lots of fun bits in it, and it's a bit sad and stuff. But yeah, I definitely think this one will be overlooked by a lot of people.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I actually forgot about it, to be honest. I forgot
Exactly.
Movie, so overlooking it. I will say that just like Lady and the Tramp, the animated version is also a fairly safe bet. So yeah, Dumbo, good idea. I might actually follow through with that one and watch the live action one at Thanksgiving this year. So that might be the one that I watch.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's a bit of I think in that big launch window, that one's kind of got them, like Captain Marvel will be the other big release around that time. But yeah, you can watch that on any time. So what's on one of your other selections?
All right, I'm going to jump from Disney to Pixar for this one, and we're going to go with Finding Nemo. Now, I think Pixar, just like Disney, is fairly a safe bet most of the time. But if I was going to pick out the one that I wanted to watch with family, Finding Nemo would be the top of the list. Maybe The Incredibles, if you don't mind, if you don't have anyone who would be like overwhelmed by the action in it.
Yeah.
But Finding Nemo, I think, is a really, really good one. Ellen DeGeneres' story is fantastic. I'm totally blanking on Marv something for Nemo.
Yeah.
Anyway, great cast. Not Nemo, Marlin.
Yeah.
Great story, timeless. I think it works really well. It's just one of my favorites. It's my third favorite Pixar movie. But if I was going to pick a family one, that's the one I would go for.
Yeah, I actually watched it recently while I was on vacation, and it was on the Disney Channel, and we watched it, and then it went straight into Finding Dory, and I watched them both. And so, yeah, Finding Nemo is definitely like one that I've watched within the last sort of 2 months, so it's definitely high up there. I still think the first one is just so much better than the second one. It is that thing about a family. It is all about coming together, and kind of you got some great characters. Yeah, you really can't go wrong. And it is a really cool Pixar movie. I don't know, I think trying to pick my favorite Pixar movies is a lot harder because they are very, very, very good.
They are extremely good. I will say I've got a top three, my top three Pixar list, but after the top three, it kind of becomes a jumble.
Yeah. Yeah, there's this, and I mean, we got pretty much the whole run of the Pixar movies, so there's plenty there to choose from at this time of the year. So I think this is pretty much my last pick, since you also nabbed my Mary Poppins. And I'm going to go a little bit as Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. The original Pirates of the Caribbean, not the sequels and stuff. But that movie, again, watched it recently on the Disney Channel. was one of those things of all that holiday. I've ever really liked watching Disney movies. And yeah, it's like, yeah, that's a really good action movie. It's so much better than the others. It's a lot more tied in with the ride. I think recently, obviously, we've seen some stuff from the Jungle Cruise. It kind of reminded me of Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was like, yeah, and other sequels and stuff have kind of watered down the brand. But that first movie was so good. You know, it had everything that you needed to. I think Jack Sparrow was at his best. And yeah, it's just a great action movie. Great to sit down with everyone. Yeah, if you've got smaller kids, maybe not. But if you've got, you know, slightly older kids, they might like something with a bit more action in it to keep them going in, rather than something soppy. Because there's not really much soppiness in Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, but Jack Sparrow is normally entertaining for just about everybody. At least in the first movie, he was. And then, you know, it holds together as an action movie. Even now, the special effects don't look particularly dated. A few here and there, yes, but for the most part, it holds up well. It's actually a really smart movie. You know, we're not talking like super IQ, but if you follow the plot lines and stuff, there aren't points in the movie where you just go, this only works because that character was being stupid, which you see a lot in action movies. But even like Commodore Norrington and characters like that, like, I can understand why you took the actions you did. The only reason it didn't work is because you wouldn't have believed that you were fighting skeletons.
Yeah.
Because why would you, obviously? No. And nobody trusts Sparrow, and everyone's backstabbing each other, but it all makes sense. It's really well written. It's just a really good swashbuckling movie.
Yeah, you know, I think as well, like, I mean, obviously we've had so many pirate movies since then, but when this one came out, other than like Cutthroat Island, we hadn't really seen anything for like 20, 30 odd years. So the idea of pirates was kind of like cool again. This one definitely brought it back. But what was your last pick?
So I'm going to go way out in the weeds on this one, and I'm going to recommend The Love Bug from 1968. So not the remake from 10, 15 years. Yeah, that one, not that one. I remember watching that one. I caught it randomly, and it was the scene where the black Kirby, the VW bug that's all in like black exterior, beating the snot out of Kirby. I'm like, what is this? This isn't fun. But no, go back to 1968. The humor is all very timeless, a lot of slapsticky humor, a lot of situational humor, which works really well. The acting is very good. I just remember laughing so much at this movie as a kid, and it works really well as a family film. I think it holds up well. I saw it a couple of years ago, and even in my 30s, I was like, yeah, this is a good comedy movie. So The Love Bug, I think it works for most people. It's where the Herbie story begins. So if you haven't seen it, or if it's been a long time, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, see, I know I've seen probably all of them. My brother was more into cars than I was. As far as I'm concerned with a car, if it's got wheels and it drives, that's kind of all I need to know. And what color is it?
I'm about the same, honestly.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing with Herbie. I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about any of them. I've seen them, and I've seen bits of every single one, but it was never really something I remember watching and enjoying and sort of, oh my, that's my favorite movies. I've got to watch this and see it to the end. It was usually like, okay, when's this over? When's something else on? The days before when like with a bit of tape on or something. But in the days when you had to wait. So yeah, I think it'd kind of be interesting to go back and maybe watch one of the originals. And again, there were so many classic ones on there of that era that, you know, maybe we have kind of forgotten what they are, and maybe our nostalgia glasses might be a bit different on them.
I mean, that's entirely possible. There's certainly a chance that I'm looking at it through nostalgia glasses, because I did watch it when I was a kid, but I did want to go back to like some of the older stuff, because it's easy to recommend stuff that came out in the last 5, 6, 7 years. You can go with Tangled, Frozen, all of these movies, even Princess and the Frog, stuff like that. Yeah. They're all good recommendations. I'm not saying that you shouldn't watch those or that they're not good candidates. I'm just saying, you know what, I wanted to throw something out there that maybe got overlooked, maybe wasn't something that people immediately looked for. Try something different out, especially when the comedy, holds up over time. Because especially these days, it feels like a lot of times comedy in shows and movies is very topical, very what's happened in the last couple of years. And sometimes it's just nice to watch something that, doesn't depend on you remembering some meme from 3 years ago.
Yeah, I do think I don't think some of the new movies. Not I don't Disney aren't quite so bad, and maybe the Disney Channel ones are a little bit more like it. But generally, Disney do seem to keep away. I think the one that's really going to be the worst for that will be Ralph Breaks the Internet. That is going to age really badly. I think
It already has.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph doesn't because it's based on the 80s and the 90s, whereas yeah, I don't know. I definitely don't think that movie is going to do very well in terms of how it's going to age. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I saw it not too long ago, and even then, you could already tell that some of the stuff they were referencing was already kind of aging out. Minus some specific references to things that are very much from the last couple of years. I think the general themes will continue to shine through, which is fine, which is what it needs. But yeah, but Disney is generally very good about not being here and now, unlike, say, Shrek, which was a very good movie at the time. If you go back and watch some of them, a lot of the references, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was a long time ago.
I think the first one of Shrek was a lot better than the later ones. They kind of relied on that modern humor rather than kind of longevity. But nevertheless, so the thing is, there must be some other kind of, maybe not necessarily top picks, but kind of a few other picks that you maybe have off the top of your head that you might suggest as extra ones.
I mean, honestly, at this point, picking out specific ones is pretty rough. Honestly, any of the animated classics are good. I mentioned off a couple there. You mentioned Frozen, but then you could also do Tangled. You can do The Princess and the Frog. Heck, you can go back. You could do 101 Dalmatians, Sword in the Stone, Robin Hood, the one with them as foxes and animals.
That was the thing. I was actually going to mention Robin Hood because that was like one of my favorite Disney movies as a kid, and that kind of jumps out. That one, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, is another kind of classic Disney one to me. Jungle Book, all these kind of, everyone's going to have ones from their past that they're going to remember and they're going to want to pass on. But also as well, it's that kind of thing with Disney Plus, is it allows you to stretch out a little bit. Maybe it's like for me, I've been meaning to do this, and I've been supposed to be doing this with Disney Life for years. Treasure Planet and Atlantis, never seen them. I've never seen those two movies, and I keep meaning to watch them, but I've never got around to watching them. I think Brother Bear is another movie, and sometimes I think with like Disney Plus, it allows you that opportunity to watch something that you maybe missed. And also, essentially, it's not like you're renting it or you're paying for it. You can make that choice of whether or not you want to watch it and stuff. So I think there's definitely plenty on there to recommend.
I agree. And both Atlantis and Treasure Planet are worth taking a look at. There's a reason they don't tend to be brought up as much. They're very different movies than we're used to from the animated. But I think they're still solid movies. They're just, you have to go in with the right mindset. You can't go in with, oh, I just watched Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now I'm going to watch Atlantis. No, it's a completely different style of movie. And then you got stuff like Tarzan, which was also another. Lilo and Stitch, talked about that earlier.
And Tarzan has got, I think, I like Phil Collins, so I think the soundtrack, and I listened to that one quite a bit. The soundtrack of Tarzan is really, really good. And
I agree. It's got a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say another couple of ones, Zootopia or Zootropolis, depending on where you are. I thought that was a really kind of cool movie. But there is just so many. But let us know in the comments below which movies you're going to be checking out on Disney Plus over the Thanksgiving period. Love to hear your thoughts. Hope you all have a good Thanksgiving and enjoy the turkey. Do you eat turkey? Yeah, you do eat turkey because for us that's Christmas. But yeah, turkey on Thanksgiving.
We do turkey on both Thanksgiving and Christmas because America, why not?
I just remember that movie where it was one with Jamie Lee Curtis where she's running around chasing a tinned ham, and like us Brits are looking at going, tinned ham on like a really big day or for Christmas. But nevertheless, we're going to be talking about Christmas movies next week. But nevertheless, go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com, and we shall see you guys in another video. Later.